Forgotten Heroes of the Bible, the man who saved Jeremiah, the last days of Jerusalem. Let's dive in. Ebed-Melech walked with purpose through the halls of the royal palace. Outside, the city was surrounded by one of the greatest military powers of the ancient world. Inside, another battle was being fought, not with swords or spears, but between fear and conviction. Each step toward the king's court carried enormous risk. The princes who had condemned Jeremiah still held influence. They were powerful men, respected men whose words shaped the decisions of the kingdom. To question them was dangerous. To challenge them before the king could cost a man everything. Yet Ebed-Melech kept walking. The palace gates opened onto a public area known as the Benjamin Gate, where King Zedekiah was seated. This was more than a place of passage. It was where judgments were often heard, disputes were settled, and matters of great importance came before the king. The noise of the city seemed distant. Every eye near the gate could see who approached. Every word spoken there carried weight. Ebed-Melech took a deep breath. There would be no turning back. With humility and respect, Ebed-Melech addressed the king. "My lord the king." His voice was calm, not angry, not accusing, but filled with quiet conviction. Then he spoke words that no one else had been willing to say. "These men have acted wickedly in all they have done to Jeremiah the prophet." He reminded the king that Jeremiah had been lowered into the cistern without food. If nothing changed, the prophet would die where he had been abandoned. Those words pierced through the silence. For perhaps the first time since Jeremiah had disappeared, someone had spoken on behalf of a man who could no longer defend himself. It is remarkable to pause and consider what happened in that moment. A foreign servant spoke with greater courage than the princes of Judah. A man who had not been born among God's covenant people became the voice of justice when those who knew the law remained silent. Scripture does not tell us that Ebed-Melech raised his voice. It does not describe dramatic gestures or heated arguments. His courage did not come from anger. It came from compassion. Sometimes the greatest acts of bravery are spoken with quiet words. King Zedekiah listened. Perhaps he remembered Jeremiah's warnings. Perhaps guilt stirred within his heart. Or perhaps he simply recognized that an innocent man had been condemned. Whatever the reason, the king responded immediately. He gave Ebed-Melech permission to rescue the prophet, not with 1 or 2 helpers, but with 30 men. The order was clear. Take 30 men with you from here and lift Jeremiah the prophet out of the cistern before he dies. For the first time since Jeremiah had been abandoned, hope entered the story. Without hesitation, Ebed-Melech gathered the men and hurried through the palace. Every passing moment mattered. Jeremiah had already spent precious time trapped in the mud. No one knew how much strength he had left. Yet before going to the cistern, Ebed-Melech did something unexpected. Something that reveals the kind of man he truly was. He stopped at a storage room beneath the palace. Among old supplies and discarded garments, he searched for worn-out cloth, old rags, pieces of fabric that most people considered worthless. To everyone else, they were scraps. To Ebed-Melech, they would become instruments of mercy. Why would he delay the rescue to gather old cloth? The answer reveals extraordinary compassion. He knew the ropes alone could injure Jeremiah's frail body. After years of hardship, after days trapped in mud, the prophet's skin would be bruised and weak. If the ropes tightened beneath his arms, they could tear into his flesh as the men pulled him upward. So Ebed-Melech prepared soft cloth to place between the ropes and Jeremiah's body. He wasn't thinking only about saving the prophet's life. He was thinking about easing his suffering. Even in a desperate rescue, kindness mattered. At last, the rescue party reached the cistern. The heavy stone opening still yawned above the darkness. Looking down, little could be seen except shadows. Somewhere below, Jeremiah was waiting. Ebed-Melech stepped to the edge and called into the pit. His voice echoed against the damp stone walls. "Jeremiah!" For the first time since he had been abandoned, the prophet heard a voice that carried hope instead of hatred. Holding the ropes, Ebed-Melech called down carefully, "Place these worn cloths beneath your arms, then put the ropes over them." There was no rushing, no careless pulling, only patience, only compassion, only the determination that this servant of God would not be forgotten. Far below, Jeremiah reached for the cloth, and above him, 30 men tightened their grip on the ropes. The rescue was about to begin. See you in Part 4.